last 12 months, you've had at least 10 closings, right? 10 to 20 closings?
Right, that's correct. But I had to learn how to work my inner circle and develop the leads within my inner circle. And it wasn't putting up billboards and stuff like that was going to get me the business. So being a real estate agent is not as easy as everybody thinks. And everybody thinks that it's going to be some easy thing. You're going to step in, it's just going to fall out from the sky, and you're going to just make tons of money. That wasn't easy, and billboards don't work. If you have a lot of money and you're making a lot of money and you just want to put your face out there, yes. But if you're a new agent trying to get in the business, don't do it. And I say this to my husband all the time, especially on a wine bar. Sometimes things work, sometimes things don't work. And you got to pivot.
There are over 1.5 million real estate agents in the U.S. 87% of agents fail within the first 5 years. I sit down with the top percentile of agents that are killing it in this market right now. We're here to showcase, explain, and most importantly, decode the secrets that have propelled them to the top. What fuels their success? How are they turning their dreams into reality? Get ready, buckle up. This is the Agents with Grit podcast.
All right, so we're live. We have Erin Crumbley, who I'm really excited to talk with, just to kind of give you a little bit of a gist of who she is. I know she's in Florida, and she's going to tell us obviously a lot about her. But Erin, you have absolutely just been kicking butt. I'm reading here. You've been in the business at least 5-10 years, and over the last 12 months, you've had at least 10 closings, right? 10 to 20 closings.
Right. That's correct.
Awesome. So this podcast, it's titled Agents with Grit. So I really want to get to know you on the first hand, and then we'll kind of go into the nitty gritty of just how you've built your business and businesses, I could say, right? With how successful you've been. But if we could start, tell me a little bit about where your drive for success comes from.
My drive for success comes from within, I guess. I've never been shy of, from the very beginning of, I guess, being young to where I am now. I was always an overachiever, if you could say. Always did well in school, in college, grad school. So I guess it's something that comes from within. And that's why I'm such an overachiever. And I never leave any stone unturned, if you want to say that. So.
Okay. And you've been like that since, what's that? Say it again.
I said I like challenges.
You like challenges. So at a young age, as far as you can remember, you've been like that, and you've just overcome obstacles and. Pretty
much, yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I just I think it's from within. When you strive to be a perfectionist, it's just the way it is. And C's were never good enough. Even a B was never good enough. Even though I did get A's and B's in school, I did occasionally get a C. But it's just, it was something within. I'm very competitive too. That might be a need for me. Is a driven need is because I'm very competitive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can tell from your background. I know a little bit, obviously, about you. With initially, you started as an NFL cheerleader, right? Was that your first level? Was that your first job that you basically took, or career? Okay.
Well, that was a little side thing. I was in the very beginning, way back. I was in radio and television, and I worked for a South Florida television production studio. And a bunch of us went to a Panthers game because it was in South Florida, and it came up on the billboard or the sign, about being a Dolphin cheerleader. And at that time I was 27, 28, and being like who I am, like what I just said, the need to succeed, or there's a challenge that was thrown out there. I thought, wow, I'm 27 years old. I wonder if I could become a Dolphin cheerleader, because I cheered in school and danced in high school. So I ended up trying out in 1997. So I'm dating myself now. And with all these young girls, not thinking I would have a chance, and 250, I think there's 250 women that tried out, and I made it. So, and then was a Dolphin cheerleader for about a year. And There's my story. But I was in
That's
television and
amazing.
radio, and then I fell into computers after that.
Well, so 250 people you said were coming out to try out, right, for the cheer team. Can you kind of take me back to like what did you do to maybe help stand out? Like was there like what got you to the point where you made the team? Like
Well,
how did that happen?
Brad, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe we should ask my, maybe, I don't know. There was a lot of young women. Most of the team, I don't know if you've seen the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader section, the TV show that's on right now about making the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
And that's pretty
been
much
on
how
for
it
a
was.
while. Yeah.
It's pretty true to life. There was a lot of young girls, and like I said, I didn't know. I had to go back to 10 years prior and figure out the dance moves and stuff. And I did a little routine with it was Blues Brothers. It was Shake Your Tail Feather, and I had the little hat and the Blues Brothers costume, and had a really cute routine that I made up, and I think that kind of stood out from the rest of the girls. And yeah, who knows? I guess I had that it factor. When you go out on American Idol and you have that it factor or whatever. I must have had that because I got chosen. But like I said, I didn't go thinking that I was going to make it. I thought, well, let's see. I mean, it'd be fun. And next thing I know, I made the team, and it was hard because for the 6 weeks prior of once you make the team, you don't make it. They start weeding you guys out. They weed all the women out of who is going to be the final team. And there was always that doubt every week going in because I was older. I was the second oldest on the team that I wouldn't I wouldn't make it past the first week, second week, third week. But then when they announced the final 44, I was one of those 44, and I was super happy about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of cool.
Well, for you to accomplish that, that's absolutely unbelievable, especially the business of NFL, right? You're the head of marketing in a way for that team, right? You're the one that's cheering the sidelines, and for you to make it out of 250 people, that is unbelievable.
And don't think it
And
was a career. Like you said, you're starting your career back then. No, you made $25 a home game. So I wasn't able to pay my bills on
wasn't
that.
much.
So I worked in
Yeah.
television and in the corporate world. And then I would get off at 5 and drive down to the stadium and practice there. So I had another job.
Hmm. Got it. And were you at all involved in real estate at those times when you had the main?
No,
Not at all, huh?
ironically, my sister and my mother were living in Martha's Vineyard, and they were in real estate in Martha's Vineyard. And I thought about moving to Martha's Vineyard and doing real estate, but the wind changed, and I was in South Florida, and I took a job working at an IBM business partner, and I decided to not do real estate at that time and decided to be in the computer world, which was a really good world for me. I was in that world for about 30 years, selling IBM, HP, Dell, Cisco. And the reason why I like that world so much, A, is because it made a lot of money, and B, I was on the board of directors for the Association of Computer Dealers that sold the refurbished equipment, and was on the board for 10 years. And I got to meet and network. And that's where we're going to probably go now with why I do so well in real estate is it taught me how to network. Most of the people in the computer industry were males. And I was one of the few females in the industry that were on the board of directors, that I was not a CEO or a president, and I was probably the youngest board of director that made the board. So I got to travel all over the world and meet other dealers and network. And it taught me how to be a great networker. Walk into a room not knowing a single person, and by the end of the night knowing the majority of people, because I have a unique knack of when I meet somebody, like I see you, Brad, you come up to me in a networking event and go, "Hi, my name is Brad." And I'll go, "Hi, Brad. Brad, I'm Erin Crumbley." But I'll somehow associate your name to your face or come up with some idea of who you are. So at the end of the night, I'll go, "Hey, Brad, it was so nice to meet you. You know, thank you for the podcast," or whatever. I associate things in my head when I work with people. So at the end of the day, or when I'm leaving a meeting, they feel like I noticed him, or they know who I am and I know who they are, kind of a thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and remembering a name, it sounds like. I mean, if somebody says my name, it clearly says like, "Hey, this person actually listened to me. They cared." It does mean something for sure.
Right.
You get kind of I don't know, goosebumps in a way, or it just you feel more connected to that person if they say your name.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. So
So
you've
what happened
networked.
was, yeah, I networked really hard, and then in 2019, I got laid off, and at that time, I was at a pivotal time in my life. I was going into my 50s, and I had always wanted to do real estate. My family was involved in real estate. They did really well with it. And I decided, you know what? I don't want to do computers anymore. I don't want to be in corporate America. I want to do my own thing. So I ended up going and getting my license and started doing real estate here in North Florida. I'm between Pensacola and Destin. I'm in a little town called Navarre, which is a
Mhm.
pretty cool little place to be in because it's growing right now. It used to be like Destin used to be the spot where everybody wanted to go in this area, but now Navarre is starting to become the next Destin. It's a very quiet little fishing town. It's mom and pop, and people are starting to move in. And I kind of came in at the right time when I decided to be in real estate in this particular area.
Now, were you in Florida when you were working for IBM or the computer companies?
I was.
Are your roots where you are now?
I was working when I was working in the computer industry. I was remote, so I was used to working out of the house. So the companies I
Got it.
worked
Okay.
for, yeah. So I had that knack. That's another thing too. you, when you work remotely, you've got to get up every day and be like you're working at the office. You got to get in at 8 o'clock. You start your day at 5 o'clock. Sometimes you don't end your day until 7 o'clock. You've got to have discipline. And that's another thing as being a good real estate agent, you have to have the discipline. You just can't expect to be working part time. It's a full time job, just like getting up and selling computers every day.
Hmm. Yeah. Can you take me back to when you started? So, hey, I got licensed as a real estate agent. What was your next step? Like, I know you mentioned networking. Kind of talk me through.
You want to know the truth? You know what I did?
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people in town. I'm just like charismatic, talking about networking. I like to go out and go to get involved. I like to go and have a few drinks. So I've gotten to know a lot of people in town. So when I decided to become a real estate agent, I decided to take a big billboard out, a huge billboard in the middle of town. And at that time I was working at Keller Williams, and it said Keller Williams, Erin Crumbley, come, I'll sell your house or whatever. It was a huge billboard. And you know what? I made the fatal mistake. Like in this town, in most of Florida, I think it's very touristy. So, and when people live in a tourist town, they only do services like mortgages or real estate, or they have a mom and pop shop. They do nails, massages, and stuff like that. So, thinking that I was going to be, because I knew everybody, they were going to just start calling me up saying, I want to buy real estate from you because I had a huge billboard, was my fatal mistake on that part. Because as I learned my first year, there's always somebody that has an aunt, uncle, cousin, brother, friend. Everybody's in real estate, and especially in touristy towns. It seems like everybody in my town has a real estate license. So and I paid a lot of money for that billboard, and I had it up for 6 to 8 months, and not one person drove by and called and said, "Hey, I saw your billboard, and I
Wow.
want to buy real estate from you." That was my first. I was like, "Okay, this is going to be a little harder than I thought." And so yeah, so after that, I had to rethink about how I was going to get real estate leads. And that's when I started going out and networking. And I took the billboard down. I did do the door knocking and stuff, which is something you learn when you're at Keller Williams. You door knock and, did bold classes, which is another Keller Williams thing. But I had to learn how to work my inner circle and develop the leads within my inner circle. And it wasn't putting up billboards and stuff like that was going to get me the business.
Mhm. So 6, 8 months, you had the billboard up, and did you have any closed deals from just maybe networking, or obviously you said nothing came from the billboard? you're going 6, 8 months without any closings, right?
No, I did a couple of closings. I think my first year I made $11,000, which was a traumatic.
Okay.
It was a dramatic, not traumatic, maybe traumatic too, from what I was making selling IBM computers. It was
Right.
a learning lesson, like I'm coming from six figures down to $11,000, and I laugh about it now, but because I was like, wow, I'm stepping into this industry, I'm going to just slay it. So the first year I did $11,000, and most of it was eaten up by marketing money from the billboard and
Yeah.
stuff. And so, like I
Well,
said,
why didn't you quit? Did you think about quitting? Like where was your mindset that first,
no,
the first 6 months?
no, don't think that there's an even to the day today. I think about coming out of corporate America where you have a 401k, you have insurance, you have a steady paycheck. In my case, commissions as well on top of having a pretty steady paycheck. It still sometimes haunts me. Like it's an easy way. It's an easy way, right? So being a real estate agent is not as easy as everybody thinks. And everybody thinks that it's going to be some easy thing. You're going to just step in, it's just going to fall out from the sky, and you're going to just make tons of money. And there was a moment where I was like, man, this is really hard. It'd be much easier to go back to something I know about. But I didn't. You know what I did? The second year I said, I'm gonna hustle. I'm gonna get up every morning. I'm gonna talk to my friends and family. I'm gonna go out and network. I'm gonna learn how to ask. And that's another thing, learning how to ask and say, listen, do you know anybody anybody that hey, Brad, is there anybody, any of your friends or family are looking to move soon, or maybe, are looking to buy or sell a house? Because I would love to work with them. Here's my card. I hope you remember me. And by the way, when you're leaving the room, hey, Brad, don't forget about me. Like keep it in the circle, kind of like, see, don't forget when Aunt Susie wants to buy a house, Erin Crumbley. And then I was like, and I'm Emerald Coast Erin, which is another thing. I used my name is Emerald Coast Erin. So if you go on and look me up, it's always Emerald Coast Erin, because I want people to remember that I'm Erin on the Emerald Coast. So
Your
that's
brand.
your brand. I branded it that way so people would remember who I am. But I did. I went out
Yeah.
my second year and I hustled, and I think I did close to six figures my second year, and that was it. Like I was on my way. I mean, I learned quickly the first year that wasn't easy, and billboards don't work. If you have a lot of money and you're making a lot of money and you just want to put your face out there, yes. But if you're a new agent trying to get in the business, don't do it. Work your inner circle, talk to your friends and family, talk to colleagues, talk to your hairdresser. I just got my hair done today. Talk to your dentist and just ask, hey, I know I'm in real estate right now, and I'd love to, if you have anybody that would love to work with them, and here's my card. I know it sounds cheesy, but it does actually work.
And do you remember what types of events did you go to in the beginning? Like, I mean, you clearly were talking to any and everybody, it sounds like, but did you have to go out and find specific groups to join? And I know we'll talk a little more about like how heavily involved in the community you are now, but it didn't, where did it start at? Like where were
We
you
did.
going?
Chambers, like if you have a chamber in your area, that's a good place to start. I mean, and also if you're part of the MLS, if you're an actual realtor and you're part of the MLS, going out to talk to other realtors and lenders like yourself, people that are actually in the industry, talk to your people that do the exterminating side to the business, people that your handyman that comes in and fixes things on houses that you're trying to list, the guy that comes out and mows your lawn. You work your inner circle as far as the people that are actually in the industry, and then you work your circle like in the chambers and other businesses. Like if there's a meet and greet at the chamber, I try to make those. That we have a women to women here in our area it's all women, and we go to lunch and we all talk to each other, and they're all different types. I mean, women that sell Mary Kay to women that are personal trainers, to realtors and stuff, and you work within your circle of that. But I would start with chamber events, and then meetup groups, people that like to go and do certain things, have hobbies. get
Hmm.
involved with those guys and find a like-mindedness and get to know them. So when it does come up where they need to find somebody who does real estate, they think of you.
Right. Yeah. And now is it all 100% referral based that your business comes from?
It does. Yeah,
Oh my God.
I'm part of I'm Facebook is also a great way, guys. I mean, you go into there's real estate groups all over Facebook and they talk, other agents talk, and they're all from all over the area, from the north, from the south. I mean, I learn a lot from those groups, what works for them and what doesn't work for them. Um, I join all those groups just to keep my ear out, see what's happening in their area as far as, interest rates, how it's affecting people that are coming and buying homes or selling homes. I'm really involved in that, but your question again, I went off topic here. What did you ask me?
Well, I mean, referrals, you're pretty much
Oh,
100%.
yeah. I
You
don't.
do Facebook. Are you heavily involved in like the comment section where if there's a random comment, you'll chime in, or are you liking people's posts? Are you direct messaging people? Like, eh, are you pretty active in that aspect?
Well, to go back to the Facebook groups, I'm active in that because if I find out that somebody in California is looking for an agent in North Florida, I say, hey, this is who I am. Please refer, because that's another side of the business. You want to not only work the buyers and the sellers, you want to work other agents that are referring customers into your area, and you want to gain their trust. So that way, when somebody from California or New York or wherever wants to move here to Florida, those agents refer me and I get that additional commission from just, working that client for them. They refer them to me, I work it, I give them their commission. So I'm in those Facebook groups. And then
Mhm.
mostly, like I said, it's referral from my friends and family. And I am on Facebook and I am on TikTok and I'm on all the social media. So I started to do a Emerald Coast Erin's a Monday Market Minute. Sorry, my cat's right here trying to jump on me, and I'm like, "Don't jump on me!" So I do a little video saying, "Hi, I'm Emerald Coast Erin. This is the Monday Market Minute for my area." And I go in for a minute and I say, okay, this is how many listings we have. This is how much inventory we have. This is the median house that's we're listed. This is the absorption rate. So I become a guru in my area. So, and then I hashtag it and make it where if somebody goes into Google and says, top real estate agents in this area, it comes to me and you see my videos. So if you Google me, you see my videos. I started doing that, and lately I've kind of fallen off the wagon. I'm going to go back and do that. But use your audience and get out there and I try not to inundate people every day about me because I get tired of seeing everybody's Facebook posts about them all the time. So I try to do once a week, Emerald Coast Erin Monday Market Minute. I was going to do a Friday find, like go find a house, even if I'm not listing it. Talk to one of my real estate agents that have a beautiful house on the beach. Be like, hey, can I showcase your listing? Because it's a beautiful house. I'll put you as, listing agent as this person and take it out to my audience and say, hey, look at this. This is a beautiful find, Friday find. It's a $2 million
Mhm.
house on our beach. Just working that circle. I see all the time people go out and they're like, oh, I pay marketplace or market. Um, there's several software companies that you can buy leads from, but I just don't believe that you should be able. I think you should work your inner circle. I don't think you need to go out there and pay for leads. That's my personal opinion. And there's several
Mhm.
agents in this area. They don't pay for leads. They're just out there hustling. They're just constantly out there knocking doors and working their circle of influence.
Mhm. Yeah, and for you to have that, I guess, quick of success within a matter of your second year, you were at six figures, right?
Mhm.
That's very impressive. It just shows, back to the cheerleading, right? 250 people, like you just would not take no for an answer. You were out there every day, just grinding and doing the work, right? You weren't sitting around.
Right. Well, that's the thing. You can't take no. You just can't. You got to believe in. You're talking about believing in yourself. You just got to believe that you have what it takes to make it. And people are going to say no to you, and you just got to be like, well, you know what? It's not me. It is maybe it's just not a good time for them right now. They don't need to buy a house or what have you. Um,
Hmm.
and don't take it personally. And you're on to the next person. I mean, but I'm not constantly in everybody's face saying, hi, I'm Erin Crumbley. I want to sell your house kind of a thing. I just, hey, I'm a real estate agent. Here's my card. If you ever know somebody looking to buy or sell, give me a call and work that circle. But you got to get yourself out there and network. You can't expect them to come knocking on your door saying, hey, I want to buy a house from you. You gotta make it where people know who you are, where you're at, and want to come to you. And networking is a good thing because you build trust when you network. And when you say, hey, Brad, when you're leaving the building, hey, you build some kind of camaraderie and bond by doing that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little more about what you're doing today? I know you have a meeting to get to that is a community event, right? Or that you're a part of. Can you kind of talk through what's going on today to continue to meet new people and network?
Well, today's a board of directors meeting. Because I'm part of several boards. I just recently got off the zoning board of Santa Rosa County, which was a good opportunity to learn what's going to be built in our area, what's commercially coming in, how many people are moving into our area's neighborhoods, so that if you can get involved in your zoning board or somehow involved in your community politics is a good thing. I'm on the Emerald Coast Wildlife Refuge Board, which I'm about to go, and I'm the vice president of that. Giving back to the community, whether it's time on boards or it's raising money for various nonprofits, 501(c)(3)s. That's important to me. So, but what I'm doing today is, sorry, just dropped my glasses. What I'm doing today is I'm going to do a board of directors meeting, and then afterwards I have an event at a wine bar, which is a wine bar that I actually own. So with my real estate business, I was lucky enough to buy a wine bar back in 2020. So now I started in real estate in 2019. Told you that. It didn't do too well in 2019. In 2020, it did really well. And so I ended up with my husband buying a wine bar, which is something I've always loved. I love wine, and this bar had been in business for 8 years prior or 7 years prior, and it was going out of business because of COVID. So we decided to buy the wine bar, which has been very successful. And we do a lot of events there. We do a lot of charity events. We open it up for people that want to use it to network, which is going on tonight. Somebody's doing a networking thing. So I'm going to be done with my board meeting, go there, do some networking. And there happen to be talking about stem cells. This is a networking group that's talking about stem cells. So I'm going to walk in and start talking to them about stem cells. And hey, by the way, do you have somebody that might be looking to buy or sell a home? Because here's my card. And have a glass of wine. I incorporate it all. That's why I say, when I say him, keys, corks, and community. It's Emerald Coast Erin, keys, corks, and community, because it kind of ties me all together. I love my community. I do a lot of events. I do a lot of charity. I love wine, and I love doing real estate. So it kind of is like a perfect trifecta, if you will.
Yeah. And your networking is like, it sounds to me like you got it down. Like, you know exactly how to approach somebody without being essentially in their face and salesy. You're just having a human interaction and conversation and getting to know somebody. And I'm sure they can see that just from meeting you, to where it's like, it's easy when, hey, I got to buy a house, I'm going to call Erin. Like, I had a great interaction with her and I trust her. And that's something that I've found has been common among, it's been about 7 people so far that have been on the podcast. So, so far, and they're high level producers like you that are closing, upwards of 20 closings a year and generating millions in volume. And they're very involved in the community, and you clearly have built a beautiful business, and you're very successful, and it's awesome. It's awesome to hear. And you've clearly worked your tail off. It's amazing the background that you've come from, and how I know you climbed the corporate ladder, and, from going from that business to essentially being laid off and starting fresh and brand new and not giving up after a year, and going full force. It just kind of shows that you embody grit, which is what this podcast is about, is meeting with people like you that just obviously don't quit. And I'm appreciative of you coming on, and I'm glad we met. And
Me too.
I want to ask you, is there anything else that you want to leave? Any advice? Because a lot of this is meant for real estate agents that are struggling, or they are maybe looking to build and grow and become what you've become. Is there any piece of advice that you could share that maybe you've learned since 2019 that people could really help them?
Don't do a billboard. You, I'm in the works right now of writing a book. You know what? If it doesn't, and I say this to my husband all the time, especially owning a wine bar, sometimes things work, sometimes things don't work. And you got to pivot. And that's the name of my book, is going to be Pivot, because if you know what, you just got to try something. And like the billboard, it didn't work out for me. And so what I did was I pivoted, and then I said, well, we got to figure out something else. And that's when I had to change. You've got to have a list of ideas. Say, okay, I'm going to do this, 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 this. Okay, idea number one doesn't work out. Then I'm going to cross that off. I'm going to do idea number two. That doesn't work. And it's just always pivoting, because things are going to happen. The real estate market is not the same real estate market it was back in 2019. We didn't have any inventory up until 2 years ago. This place was like zero inventory, and we were jamming. Now this year we've got lots of inventory. We're still doing very well because we're in a military area. We have a lot of military bases, and people are moving out and moving in. But you have to change when things happen, and you get a curveball. You've just got to pivot and go a different direction. And as long as you keep pivoting, you'll find the right knack, and you'll be successful. And that's pretty much my 2 cents. Because it's never going to be a perfect storm. You think it is, but you got to work your tail off. You got to figure out a way to do it. And then if it doesn't work, you just change your methodology and do something different, and it'll come to you.
I love that. Yeah, I watch Shark Tank. Have you ever watched Shark Tank?
I do.
I think of Kevin O'Leary. There's always a business where somebody comes in and they've been trying to get it off the ground for years, and it's just maybe a bad business idea. And Kevin O'Leary just says hey, when you have that dog, you got to go behind the shed, and you basically have to put it to rest and move on and pivot. Is what my main point is if it's not working, just quit beating a dead horse, right? And just move on and find something different that could work. So that's awesome.
It's not and you know what? Some people take it so personally. If it doesn't work, they take it personally and they decide they want to quit. It would have been easy for me to quit my first year doing $11,000 with a big billboard in the middle of town. But, I just realized that wasn't the way to do it. And I had to figure out another strategy. And it worked out. And you just keep going. Just like, that's what sales is about. For every no, which you'll get 9 no's before you get a yes. I learned that in IBM. It'll eventually, if you know what, it's like the movie Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come, kind of a thing. And that's one of my favorite movies. And I love that line. If you build it, they will come. And you just got to figure out how you're going to build it.
Yeah, and you've built it, and is for the future, what's new for you? Are you planning on growing as a brokerage? What's next?
Oh well, my brokerage. I'm not a broker. I'm just an agent. I'm a realtor. Our broker actually is a school here. He does a lot of credit classes and stuff like that. Eventually, I would like to be to the point where I have a team. I like to do everything myself. I'm kind of like that because I know if I do it, it's going to be done right. But eventually I want to be like the rainmaker and I have a team underneath me, or become a broker. I'm not saying not be a broker. And I see that. I'd like to be a speaker. I do a couple of, I've got, like I said, I have a book on the horizon right now. I'm thinking about doing a podcast. I've got to get out there and do more Coast Erin videos. I mean, the world's my oyster. I don't know. I sell a lot more wines because, I not only do real estate, I like, doing the wine business, but I never say no. I never say no to opportunity. And I'm looking for investors. I do a lot of stuff with investors. So yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. I just play day by day. I don't know about
Good
you, but
point.
that's how I do it.
We're
It's
in the
like,
present.
I wake up, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, what's in store for me today? But I have a calendar. At least I know my calendar, what's going to happen throughout my day. Because if you don't have a calendar, you don't have anything. You got to have a calendar.
Mhm. Well, Erin, I want to thank you a ton for meeting, and this has been an awesome conversation. Plenty of golden nuggets that you've given, and I just want to ask you, like, what's a good way to reach out to you? I know we talked about your website. If anybody has questions or wants to pick your brain, how can we get a hold of you?
Well, my website, I have several websites. You can go www.erincrumbley, which is ERINCRUMBLEY.com. That's my main page. I'm also at
Hmm.
www.emeraldcoasterin, which is my persona.com. My phone number's on there, my email. You can go in there, reach out. If you want to have a meeting with me on my main page, there's a calendar that you can reach out and we can set up a meeting and talk. And it even if you don't want, don't have any houses to buy or sell, or you don't have referrals, if you just want to pick my brain and ask me questions, I'm always here. That's my door is always open. That's just part of who I am. I'm very, I don't know what you want to call it. I have this, like, I care about people. That's part of my community side to me. So if you're starting out in real estate and you want some ideas, feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to talk to you about what works and what doesn't work to get you to where you want to be.
Billboards, right?
No
No
billboards.
billboards.
No billboards, anybody. Yeah, yeah. Lots of
So,
networking.
all right. Well, yeah, this has been a just very insightful episode. And Erin, I want to thank you again. And for anybody that's listening to this and has gotten value, please share with whether it's an agent friend or if it's somebody that's just looking for career or life advice. Erin has definitely provided that kind of value in this episode. But you can look us up on Agents with Grit on any sort of social media platform, and of course, anywhere you can get your podcast. But Erin, thank you again, and I really enjoyed our conversation. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Brad. I really do. I really did enjoy our conversation, and I know we're going to be doing a lot more together in the near future. So thank you for your time and your podcast.
Of course, of course.